Hey everybody, welcome to the Fin Factor Live. We are ready and willing, I suppose, to take your comments and your questions. Aaron's here, he's got the laptop out, and we've got a handful of people. Ready to rock in there?
10.
10,
Almost
oh.
a dozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
We're getting there.
If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to send those in right now. We had a week off and came back.
We did.
Then we had another week off.
It was a sad Super Bowl week last
Yeah.
week. Very sad.
Yeah, too bad. I know. It's a bummer.
Did you even watch it?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I watched it.
I'm impressed. That's the most 49ers you've watched.
That was the only football game I watched all season, to be honest with you. That was it right there. And what better one to go out on, I suppose, you know?
There were better ones to go out on,
Okay.
but yes.
Oh, well. So anyway, a lot of hype. They played well. Just did the same thing the Sharks do, the third period, fourth quarter in this case, right?
It's sad. That was a sad day. That's the Shanahan's like MO now, because he was the offensive coordinator at Atlanta when they lost to the Patriots a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
And they had a huge lead and they lost it in the fourth quarter.
Oh, well.
Yep.
Single tier. In any case, again, yeah, we are ready to go. So I don't know if we have anything to... We got something?
Sure.
Oh, wow, already. Okay.
Sarah V says, what do you guys think about all, I think she meant injuries, that the Sharks have? It sucks.
It's great.
The Sharks, I mean, they're done. They're not making playoffs. And I know we kept saying they're going to. I kept saying they're going to. But injuries took their toll. And the problem with the Sharks is their depth is not there, so any injury hurts even more.
Yeah.
Especially when their depth before the injuries were their center position and defenseman.
Yeah.
And now you lose your top two centers.
Yeah.
No. Just Couture fractured his ankle. Hurdle, man, that one hurts.
Big time.
That one hurts because he'll be back by training camp, but kind of like how Shimmick was, right? When he came back from that exact kind of same injury, it's going to take him a while. Even when he's back and ready and supposedly ready to go, he's not going to be ready. So he's going to be another guy next season that's going to take probably about a month or two to get into it, to get really get back into it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
but
with you.
at least it was it January or was it February? I can't remember exactly what it was, but 6-7 months from that point.
Yeah.
So, and that gets it to about August, September, right about training camp.
Yeah.
All that stuff starts. That's when he'll be back to 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I was still kind of hopeful, I guess I would say, when Couture went down and Hurdle was still in the lineup. I said, okay, you know, you're missing basically one of your best centers, if not the best center on the team. But you know, the one thing that Sharks have been able to do is, unfortunately, give their fan base hope. So that's the one thing that's kind of been pulling us along here. But when Hurdle went down, yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. You know, it's basically it's over. Now, of course, as soon as we say that, what happens? True and Latunov get into the lineup. We win 2 games.
Yeah.
So,
but this is what I said they should do, is try and get to that, not make playoffs,
yeah,
but be
as high as you can.
Yeah, as high as you can, because you don't have that first round pick.
You want it. Yeah, you want to try to spoil the draft pick.
You don't
for
want
Ottawa.
it to. Yeah, you don't want it to be a lottery pick or a high chance lottery pick.
I think I was talking to a Super Key Group Joe today, actually, and I was telling him, you know, I still want them to make it. I still want them to make playoffs. And he goes, it'll just be like a first round exit, though. You know, they don't have the personnel. I says, yes, I don't care. I just want them to make playoffs. Again, play the spoiler for the Ottawa, the pick, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's really what we have to play for right now. But now, in terms of what do I think of the injuries, yeah, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. You know, this is a team that could have pulled itself back together here, but when you're missing your top 2 centers, you tell me any team that you take away their top 2 centers and they're okay. You know, and Pittsburgh will be, you know, done. You know, absolutely, right? I mean, Boston even, they'd be in really, really bad shape. So, I mean, give me any team, take away the top 2 centers, and yeah, it's pretty much over. So, but again, you know, they did come back and they won those 2 games, which again kind of gives the fan base a little bit of hope. And I don't really think we should delve too much into that hope, unfortunately.
I mean, essentially, this is a chance for the younger guys to have a longer-term tryout for next season. They're fighting for a position or a role for next year. Yeah. Because if let's say Alex True comes up, right, and he stays up for the rest of the season, and he's playing well enough, playing pretty well, now they're going to say, okay, well, Alex True looks like he's ready. Going into training camp, maybe we'll not give him a spot, but he's going to be the preferential guy, and we're not going to go the free agent market to fill that role.
Right.
We can use him for that.
Yeah.
So, again, this is just going to be a long-term tryout. situation for a lot of the young guys.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you got Nabokov, you've got Ricci, you've got Roy Sommer up as the assistants on that team, right? So you've got guys that have already worked with a lot of these guys coming from the AHL roster, and so they know these players pretty well. And it's funny, the first thing that they did as soon as they got their new positions was they called up Joachim Blichfeld because they were saying, okay, this is the guy. He's our stud in the AHL. We're going to call him up. Didn't really work out, but then you go back to the pool a couple more times and you find your Alex True and your Max Latunov. Yeah. And, they came to play. It was great, So, again, I hope it's more than just a flash in the pan. I hope it's more than just a game or two of adrenaline and then all of a sudden they kind of regress. I really do think that both of them are, bigger-bodied guys, so they would fit well in the NHL. It doesn't have to be a second-line role or anything, but right. I think that the guys that can go out there, they can be physical, they can bang. These are the types of things that you need out of these guys that are stepping in. You don't need them necessarily to come in and score a ton of goals. You just need them to play a nice physical game and let the other guys that are, NHL players, more mainstays, do their job. Right. And it gives them the opportunity to get some more playing time, just like you said.
Couple questions on it. First, Justin Bronze is a beast, 61. I'm going to guess that's Lundy.
Yeah.
He said your guys are alive. However, Justin or Lundy, you need to change your name because your English is incorrect. You put Justin Bronze _S is a beast. If you put the apostrophe S, that means you're putting is, as in Justin Bronze a beast.
Is a beast.
Justin Bronze is a beast. Yeah, come on, man. Come on.
Drop the apostrophe S.
I thought there was a shark show.
Or the is, yeah.
Not
proper
a grammar
English.
Show.
Grammar,
proper
please.
English and grammar make me happy and want to read your comments more. How about that? Going back to some trades.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the top now. Going back to the beginning. Isaiah Wentz. Why would they get rid of Thornton or Marlowe? I feel like there's only stuff to lose from a deal like that. I don't, because they're on one-year contracts. They're done after the season. There's no point. This season's done. The whole point of the season basically is to make playoffs.
Right.
You're not going to make playoffs? Okay, what do you got for next season?
Right.
These two guys may or may not be here, most likely will not be here. If they want to go to a contender, first of all, Thornton has a no-trade clause, and there's some questions in there about, do you think Zach Croft says Thornton deserves a cup, let him go to a contender.
Agreed.
Isaiah says only if he wants to.
Let me correct that statement real quick. Let him go to contender? It's not
I was
let
say
him.
That.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not like the Sharks are holding him back and not wanting to trade him. It's more of there's an open dialogue between Doug Wilson and Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, as I'm sure there are a couple other guys saying, hey, especially the ones with no trade clauses, there's interest in you in a contender. Do you want to go? Do you want me to pursue this? Because you have this no trade clause. Specifically, Thornton has a no movement clause, which means he can veto anything. Whereas other guys like Jones, for instance, off the top of my head, has a three-team trade clause, where he submits a list of 3 teams that he can go to, where the Sharks can work out a deal without talking to him, basically. Right. If they work out a trade with somebody else, then he can veto and say yes or no. But I don't think he would, just because he'd want playing time. Anyway, that's a whole different issue. Where was I going with this?
The trades, would
you get Thornton and Marleau? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If they're going to go, if they want to go, then let them go. Get something for them. It's better to get something, either a draft pick or a prospect or something, than nothing, because you're going to lose them in this offseason for nothing.
See, and I think people forget that. I think they go, well, why would you trade Marleau? He's been doing pretty well for us. The reason you would trade him, again, he's only got the 1 year left, so he could walk anyway. Now, he only wants to play for the Sharks, and if he wants to come back, absolutely, come on back after the season's done.
That's the other thing. You're lending him out for the last 6 weeks of the regular season plus playoffs, and they can come back after in the summertime. So you're basically, it's a rental. This is what a definition of when you hear the term rental player, this is a rental player.
That player's only going to be on that roster for the year. They're not planning on re-signing him. They're just planning on bulking up for that run. When that run's over with, okay, forget him. Now, another guy, Dylan, right? People are saying, why would you trade Dylan? Dylan's great. Well, Dylan is great, but Dylan's going to get more money than we can possibly offer him in free agency because we have other areas that we need to address, right? So we need to pay guys that are going to be playing on the wing. We need to play guys that are going to be taking over, say, third-line center role if Joe Thornton retires, right? So we need to pay other players, either in free agency or guys that are renewing their contracts and we're ready to pay them bigger money, whatever the case may be, right? So you have to pay those guys. we have enough in terms of the defensive side, right? You've got Burns, Karlsson, Vlasic. Schimmick he's actually, they're in talks right now with Schimmick on getting a deal done to get him extended. So there's Schimmick.
Nice. Yeah.
That would be great. And then, of course, Ferraro, right? So Ferraro's phenomenal. Let's keep him, obviously. So you're talking about keeping Brendan Dillon wide so that you can have Schimmick and Ferraro playing as the bottom pairing. So to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to spend the money on him so that you don't have to worry about a sixth defenseman. When you've got Tim Heed anyway, he's a UFA as well, but
he is.
For some reason he re-signed this season. He's probably re-signed again next season too. Who knows?
Well, Ferraro's an RFA in 2 years. So he just signed this year.
Well, that's right. But you're going to have him on the roster. You're not going to put him back with the Barracuda. He's going to be on the NHL roster. So it doesn't make sense to keep Dillon because you're paying him more money than you'd be paying him right now anyway because his value's gone up.
There was a good article months ago, I want to say maybe even during the offseason, about the almost like the middle class of the NHL is disappearing because top players are getting paid such a percentage. I mean, look at Karlsson, right? Yeah. Karlsson, Burns. Look at the top guys on the Sharks making all this money, right? And then you got the rest of it is filler. So you got young guys like Ferraro who can play, but they're on an entry-level deal. Those guys are the guys that are making your team successful, becoming deep, right? Then the middle class people, you're filling in those roles with lesser salary people, not lesser people, but lesser salary people. So the people that are making between $3 and let's say $6 million are getting squeezed out of the NHL. You're seeing a lot of those guys, like let's say someone who's making $3 million, they're a third line winger, maybe even a fourth line winger, and they're making $3 million, maybe close to $4 million, and they're a UFA, right? No team is going to sign that guy. Why? Because they can fill that role with an entry-level guy for $900,000. You're seeing a lot of those guys going overseas and playing in Europe for their last 2-3 years of their career, and then finally retiring. Yeah. Whereas before all this kind of maybe the salary cap era is part of the problem. You'd see those guys getting signed for $5-6 million at the end of their career because it's basically the way the contracts work were based on what you had done previously, not what you're going to do for them in the future. Right. Because it was harder to predict what you're going to do. So salaries are funky, really funky, and they still are, even in the salary cap era. But anyway, the middle class people, such as Brendan Dillon, a very good defenseman, but he's making $3 million. He could probably get closer to $4 million, I would think, for his next deal.
Yeah.
Well, the Sharks can't afford him.
That's my point, is that you're not. Why would you trade Brendan Dillon? He's great. Yeah, he is great, but he's going to get paid more by another team. We can't offer him that amount, and if we do offer him that amount, we're not going to be able to fill in the depth that we need to fill in, right? We have enough in terms of defensive talent. Some of that talent needs to grow still. Schimmick and Ferraro, part of that, right? But we don't have enough talent on the wing. We need more talent on that third line because, again, Jumbo's going to probably retire this season. So there's other areas to address. If you want to have good depth, you can't give Brendan Dillon the contract that he deserves. So that's why you would trade him away because people are saying, why would you trade him? Oh, my God, he's great. It's like, you don't understand. You don't get to retain these players just because they're on your roster currently, right? You don't have any rights to these players after their contract is done unless they're an RFA. That's different.
Right.
But for a guy who's unrestricted free agent, you have to unload these guys because they can get more money on the open market. Unless you've already gone through an extension with them, they're going to get more money. So it just doesn't make any sense. And that's why these players we're talking about unloading them. So Brendan Dillon, Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, even, what was his name? Tim Heed, we had said earlier as well, Melker Karlsson, even Aaron Dell. These are all guys that could probably go to another team who would probably pay them more, right? So I don't know. I just think that it's the right move. At the end of the season, you've got all these UFAs. Unload, get your picks, get some prospects, load up for the next season, 2, 3, 4 seasons ahead, and see where that goes.
I think next year they can bounce back.
Oh, sure.
Because there's going to be a lot of guys coming off the
money.
books. They're going to have a lot of money off the books.
Money.
If they make one trade of moving a big salary person this season, they're going to have a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to fill a lot more of those roles in.
Yeah. I mean, I think we said there was $9 million coming off the books, and then you've got the $1 million something for Paul Martin still. Right. That's coming off as well, right? LeBanc hasn't proved anything. I wonder if he does another $1 million 1-year contract.
Paul Martin's 1.4.
1.4. So there you go. I mean, there's money coming off the books, and I think we'll be able to reload pretty easily.
This is an interesting question. I don't know if you know this. We haven't talked about it at all, but thoughts on the info coming out via John Scott about Karlsson's bad attitude, not being engaged, and the other players not liking him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it, but I've heard that before.
Yeah.
From other things and other sources over the last probably year. In fact, there's been some comments from Ottawa fans when Karlsson was traded about that, and how when we were excited about him getting signed, they were like, "Yeah, you're not going to like that. He's a cancer in the room." So I don't really know. It's just kind of rumors, and we're not in the locker room, so we can't really know. Like we can't really talk about it. But it's very interesting. I just feel like Doug Wilson is so good on character development, and he's big on getting good character guys, that I feel like he wouldn't do that. But I also feel like as a former defenseman, he loves defensemen. Think about it that way, right? We have 3 defensemen out of our 6 signed long term for over $7 million each.
Well, I think he understands the importance of the defensemen.
Totally.
Right? Yeah, I think that's why they're getting those bigger contracts like that. And these, I mean, to be fair, these are guys that are not just middle class. These are guys that are elite at their positions, right? So, I'm not sure in terms of Erik Karlsson having a bad attitude or whatever else. Now, if it comes from a guy like John Scott, this is a former player. He's also got a podcast. Maybe he's kind of over-exaggerating a little bit to kind of get some people listening.
Is that comments? Is that from the podcast? Like, is it from,
I'm sure
I think
it
it's
is.
Spit and Chicklets, right?
No, he does Dropping the Gloves.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Dropping the Gloves with John Scott, and then Spit and Chicklets is. But I mean, maybe he's kind of pumping it a little bit more than what it actually is. The fans in Ottawa saying he's a cancer in the room. Unless they're in the locker room, I don't see how they would know that. The other thing to remember, though, is, this is a guy that Doug Wilson spoke with, chatted with. Guarantee you he talked with players that were in that locker room during that run that they had in the playoffs before giving him this big contract, figuring out, is this a guy that is going to be poor in the locker room? Anything that you've heard, trust me, Doug Wilson's heard the same, okay?
Yeah.
So these are things that he vetted beforehand. Now, if there is a problem with Erik Karlsson, it's obviously not as big of a problem that it makes Doug Wilson scared about signing him. We'll put it that way, okay? So, maybe he is one of those guys that has a bit of an attitude in the thinking about himself or whatever the case may be. But if it's not to the extent that it bothers Doug Wilson, we'll just say that.
Joe Dodge, our resident St. Louis fan.
Hey, what's up?
Hey guys, been stuck at work for a while. Glad to be back. I hope I haven't missed any blame the goalie topics.
Blame the goalie
That's
topics.
Good. No, because Dell's been playing pretty well.
That's
I feel
true.
like
Yeah.
he's been. We were just talking about before we went online about how was it the Calgary game? He had some really good saves in that game.
Yeah.
I feel like he
30 saves, right?
Not quite stole the game, but he made key saves in key moments more than what I guess you could say what Jones has been doing lately.
Right.
I feel so bad for Jones because I feel like every time he gets an opportunity to play, he plays decent. He plays pretty well.
Yeah.
I'd say even better than decent. He plays well.
Yeah.
And the Sharks either can't score or they can't help him out. They're all screen goals, and it's like, oh my god, this guy can't catch a break.
Yeah.
It makes me go, he needs a change of scenery.
The thing is, he'll never get that change of scenery.
I know.
And again, people are going to look at the stats and they're going to go, oh, he's hot garbage. But, there are too many times where I've just seen where they got someone in his eyes. Now, that's something that a goaltender needs to work on, right?
That's
being able to look around the screen.
Something he needs to work on. Dell's shorter than him and smaller, and he's doing better.
Sure.
So because he's fighting. He's working harder at it.
Yeah. Well, I think most goalies, not many goalies should be standing straight up looking over guys. To correct me if I'm wrong, if there's any goaltenders there. I think most goalies, when they can't see, they kind of squat a little bit lower and they're looking side to side, not trying to look over the top. So maybe being shorter is actually a bit of an advantage from that standpoint. Who knows? But I think, I don't think Jones has played nearly as bad as the stats say. Look, again, for me, save percentage, goals against average, even the goals saved above average, that's comparing him to other goalies and what their goals saved would be. It's not really taking into account all of the higher danger. Now, there's a different stat. I think expected is one of them that's supposed to take into account the what do you call it, the high danger and everything else. Look, when you get into the word expected, that's more guessing than anything else. You can't take a stat and figure out what's going to happen in the future. If you could, this game would be totally different, right? So, I mean, the whole goals saved above average and goals, those are more indicative of how the team is playing, in my opinion. I understand people don't agree with that. That's fine. The way that I see it, it's just that way. So
you can look at Columbus.
Okay.
It's a very defensive-minded team.
Yeah.
New York Islanders is another one.
Yeah.
Where it's like the system makes the goalies better.
Exactly.
You could put in a good goalie in that system and they'll be elite.
Right.
Because the system's so good. You could put an average goalie and he's going to be great.
Decent,
right?
good. Somewhere, yeah.
So look at the Islanders. Last year, they had Leonard and Grice playing.
Yeah.
And they led the league in goals against average.
See,
they
and
won
again,
the joint award.
And again, this is where I come back to. You look at the Sharks, and like last season, Jones and Dell had the worst statistical seasons in their careers at the exact same time. And you just said, what was it, Leonard and Grice were leading the league.
Former Shark. Grice.
But they were leading the league.
Right.
So did they both have the best statistical season of their lives at the same exact time, or was it indicative of the play around?
It's definitely a system.
Right.
It's a system play.
But that's what I'm getting at. It's like you look at those two, go, oh man, they're both great, you know.
But we're also not saying Jones is not good or not bad.
I'm not saying that either. He has played kind of off, okay, but it's not bad enough for me that you can blame everything on him. There's a lot of things that are going on the defensive side, and again, here we go he was talking about, and he blamed the goalie scenario. So whatever.
Right.
Here we are. Yeah. But again, Dell has played really well. I'm not taking anything away from Dell. Dell has played really well, better than Jones.
Do you think Dell's a starter yet?
You know what? He's making a believer. He's making a believer out of me, man.
I don't. I still don't.
We challenged him though, didn't we?
I think at best 1A, 1B situation.
But didn't we say?
I don't think he's a 60-game starter.
But didn't we say this is guy? If you string together a bunch of games, he falters, and that was in like a 4 or 5 game stretch.
If he single-handedly brought the Sharks back into the playoffs, then absolutely. I mean, that's a lot to ask for, right?
The man can't work miracles.
But my point is, that would be like, wow, this guy's an elite, elite goalie that he never got a fair chance.
Correct me if I'm wrong. No one's saying Aaron Dell's elite goalie, though, right?
No, but I'm saying that's what it would take for me to go, this guy's a bona fide starter.
He has to be elite to be a starter? Yeah. I don't think that's fair.
For a going into his UFA season to want to re-sign him and be the starter next year?
That's the other thing is, contracts, that helps your play. Yeah. When you're getting signed to another contract, or you're trying to,
That's true.
Yeah.
Look at anyone that's going into a contract year, they usually have a career year. Not always. It's not always, but LeBanc, a good example, right?
Jones, before he got his contract.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, there's examples of
they play up,
but they don't. Like, there's some that don't.
Oh yeah,
LeBanc.
Like LeBanc, yeah.
This is kind of a follow-up from Angela Nunez. Do we bury Jones in the minors if we get a young replacement? See, this is tricky. I don't know what the Sharks are going to do, because what I would love for them to do is get Leonard. I think Leonard would come in, because Leonard to me is also kind of, he's a good goalie. He can be elite at times, but I don't think he can be a 60-game goalie. Okay. I think a 1A, 1B with him and Jones would be fantastic. But I don't know if we can afford that, because Jones' salary is so high.
Yeah.
Well, and having both of them would be too much money.
That's the problem.
I would really like Leonard to
be fair, Jones' salary isn't even like that high. Like, he's getting paid a fair amount, right? But the problem is you can't add another goaltender of any more than backup quality, because they're going to require 5.75.
Yeah.
That's not that bad. It's high, don't get me wrong, but it's not like...
It's not $10 million.
Exactly.
Like Montreal Canadiens who are going to miss the playoffs again.
Right. So I don't see us bringing in a goaltender that is of any quality higher than like a backup. You can't spend that much money in the goaltending position, I don't think. Now some teams have Carey Price, Bobrovsky, right? I don't know where Jonathan Quick is probably up for another contract soon. I don't know.
Oh no, he's done.
Oh, okay,
he's done.
Oh, is he?
Oh, he's gonna be. I bet he retires soon once his contract's over.
Yeah,
he's older.
Okay,
he's what does he have left to prove? Right?
I don't know.
He's won cups.
Yeah.
He's won Vezina, hasn't he?
So he's done? You think he's done?
He's 34.
Okay.
I think he's done.
Okay.
Well, let me look at his contract real quick.
I don't really care, to be honest with you, but just throwing a name out there.
But
anyway, I mean,
like dogging them a little bit.
Again, so those teams, like we just said, like with Bobrovsky, with Price, they've paid their goaltenders a ton of money, right? Didn't really work out that well. But
Quick's making 5.8.
Yeah.
For another 3 seasons.
Oh.
And he is garbage. Garbage right now. He's not getting moved.
So would you rather have Jones or Quick? Jones will save you $500K.
Yeah, right. Not even $50K.
Is
He's
it
making
$50K?
$50,000 less.
Oh, you said 5.8. Oh, yeah, okay.
5.8.
Right.
Yeah, he's at 5.75. I guess they didn't want to pay him quick money, so they made him $50,000
Nice.
less. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. I don't know. Whatever.
I honestly, now,
Like,
do
what
they
do you-
bury him? I don't
what do
know.
you
I don't think
do?
you can bury him. I don't think you can ship
They
him
could
down.
do what New Jersey did with Blake on his name. Their goalie. Schneider. They put him in the minors.
Yeah.
So bury him, basically. They
But
put him on waivers, and then he reported the minors.
Wasn't that for purpose of buyout, though?
They didn't buy him out. They buried him. That's how you bury a player, is you put him in the minors. Now, Jones has a clause. He has a no trade clause, not a no movement clause,
Right.
so he would have to report.
Well, you just said he could pick
Or he
three
would get
teams.
suspended.
Right.
Right. But, I mean, if it was a no movement clause, he could decline to go to
down.
the minors. But he can't do that. So,
Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but it still costs some of the cap if he's playing in the AHL, I believe.
I don't think so.
I think some of his cap still hits if he gets put into the AHL.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah,
'cause I can look
let
at
me
New
know
Jersey.
because I'm pretty sure that some of that cap still applies.
New
Because otherwise,
Jersey
why wouldn't you do it
Devils-
right now? Right?
Yeah, buried 4.925.
There you go. So there's still a bit of a hit. Now it's not nearly as much, but there's still a bit of a hit. So you could do that. Kind of ruins the guy's career, but is what it is.
Yep. So he signed a $6 million. He's getting $6 million a year.
Yeah.
And his cap hit is 4.9.
See, I would
So it takes a little bit off, but not a significant portion of it.
I would either keep him for the next year and try to expose him and convince Seattle to take him for the salary floor. I
think we talked about that last.
I would try to do that, or find a team that is in such a position that they could take on that contract, have him as their backup, and then offer him up.
It's very
to
interesting
Seattle.
when a new team comes in, because we
Yeah.
saw this with Vegas. Those players that were kind of stuck with teams that were stuck with bad contracts of players that were either not playing because they were injured or something, those players got moved around. Like Chris Pronger, who hasn't played in a decade, got traded to a bunch of teams around. I think he was on Arizona was the last team.
Datsuk was on Arizona.
That too. And like Arizona had picked up a few where they're not paying any actual cash because they're a team that doesn't have a lot of cash. The owner doesn't have a lot of cash, but they'll take on the cap hit because that gets them to the ceiling, or the floor.
The floor, yeah.
Better than not having those guys on the team, but they also get assets coming their way or draft picks or something, right? So it's interesting how all these bad contracts, they kind of contract, and there's a new team, and it kind of gets spread out again, and players get moved around again. So don't be surprised if around that draft, I guess the Seattle draft, the expansion draft, some things get moved around. So going back to the John Scott thing.
Okay.
There's some comments in here. Alex Wright said, dropping the gloves, and he talks about it in a couple episodes. He had dinner with the boys and got the scoop. The league players are saying he was a problem. I think he's been great for San Jose. It's Angelo Nunes. And then Michael made a good point. He's just like the rest of the team. He hates losing. I'm sure it's bothering him that they're out of playoffs right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, he came from Ottawa, he brought them to the finals, and then they lost, and then they kind of haven't been so good for a couple years.
Spiraled, yeah.
So he went from a team that was not making playoffs and probably won't be for a couple years to a team that made playoffs. Like, we got third place last year, and now they're tanking again. It's like, oh, here we go again. Not that they're tanking, but
back to the whole John Scott thing. Like, if he got the scoop from the boys, I have a really hard time believing that.
Well, yeah, which boys, right?
Well, but regardless of that, like, most players are not gonna indulge that information, right, or divulge on it, what the word is. They're not gonna give that information to a guy who's got a podcast and is going to say it to the world, right? Unless they just want the whole world to know that. So I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time believing that. I'm not saying that John Scott's a liar. I'm just saying it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around him talking to guys that are friends of his and then taking that information that's probably given to him in confidentiality and spitting that out on his podcast. Because then it's like, well, who'd you get that from? Oh, the boys. So now they know that it's somebody from inside the locker room who feels this way about Erik Karlsson. That's just stirring the pot. For me, that just doesn't add up. I don't know why they would do that and why he would take he would do that.
Yeah.
Because whatever's said, there's got to be in confidence, right? You would think.
I would think.
So to me, that one's just kind of weird. I don't know. Again, not calling John Scott a liar or anything. Just that to me doesn't really add up.
Interesting thing going back to the Arizona.
Yeah.
They have Marian Hossa. They bought out Mike Ribeiro.
Yeah.
They also had Datsuk and Pronger. After they were done playing, those contracts
in their
basically.
primes. That's a pretty good squad,
right? Yeah, that's a playoff team right there. That could be a cup winning team.
Yeah.
Put them in an Uber and the truth will come out. You remember that?
Oh God, that's right. Ottawa.
That's pretty good, Lundy. Nice one.
Yeah. That's where the guys kept calling Dylan DeMello. They kept calling him Mello.
It was Dylan DeMello and wasn't it?
Nice job, Mello. Tierney was in there
Tierney.
too.
Yeah. That was they were already on Ottawa at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Anyway, enough talk about goalies, I suppose.
Okay. I'm just talking about whatever the people want to talk about. What's next? What do we got?
Seattle.
You want to talk about the draft? Yes. No. They're talking about some other goalie options like James Reimer, Brian Elliott from Philly. That's an interesting one.
I don't want Elliott. Honestly, I don't. I could see Reimer again, but he's kind of long in the tooth, isn't he?
I just don't. Reimer to me is like another Aaron Dell. He's just not a starter.
Yeah.
He's decent, but he's not a starter. The other one, going back, we were talking about this on Facebook. Kevin LeBanc, this is an ESPN. Oh, I hate ESPN. An ESPN hockey rumor. Kevin LeBanc for Georgiev of the Rangers, and we talked about this last week. Maybe not that exact trade, but getting Georgiev.
Right.
To me, that's the exact same thing we have with Martin Jones. We got Martin Jones, who was an unproven starter. He was a backup looking to be the next big thing, right? And we got him, and he played pretty well, and it looked pretty good. But then now look where we are with Martin Jones. To me, that's the exact same thing with Georgiev. And right now, Georgiev's numbers are pretty much the exact same as Martin Jones.
I gave you those stats, and they were pretty similar. Yeah.
How is he the savior?
Yeah.
Right?
No, basically, if you go with Natural Stat Trick or NHL.com, whatever, any where you can see their stats, but year by year, you take a look at Martin Jones the year before he got traded to the Sharks. That was what, 14-15?
I think so.
Yeah, 14-15. And then you look at, I think it's Georgiev. I don't know. You look at his stats from this season, and they're actually really, really close, very similar. So what Aaron's saying is, we've already done this. We've already gone down this road. So and I can see that. I can understand it. I believe he's a little bit younger than Jones was, or maybe about the same age.
He's 23 right now.
Yeah. Well, so then no, probably not that much younger then.
Right.
Yeah. So essentially, we've gone down this road now. Hey, we could roll the dice again, and maybe this guy pans out, and that'd be great. That'd be awesome. But again,
he has 68 career games.
Yeah.
That's it. You know how many Jones had before we got him?
Less than
starts.
I thought less than that.
29.
Yeah.
29 career starts.
So bigger sample size, more proven.
62 starts, 68 appearances.
Yeah.
For Georgiev. But 918 save percentage, 914, 908. Now, granted, save percentages and everything on a bad New York Rangers team the last 3 years. But Jones had 934 save percentage, 906. Then when he made the Sharks, his first year was 918.
Mm-hmm.
That's above average.
Yeah,
912, 915. Then last year was 896, and this year's 889.
Yeah.
To me, we're going down the same path of what we've already done.
So then the question becomes, what is the right path with goaltending, right? Mm-hmm. So let's pretend that we don't have the Jones situation to deal with. What would you be going after? Would you be going after a veteran goalie, or would you be going after a prospect? Would you be going after a trade for a young goalie, a trade for a veteran? What would you go for?
Deuce is shoeless. Georgiev is playing in front of a horrible defense.
Yeah.
Isn't that the problem with our goaltending
That's exactly
right now?
the problem.
It's not, to me, it's not going to it's not going to change anything.
Yeah. Well, I think what he's saying is his save percentage is better than Jones's right now, and he's playing in front of a bad
When
defense.
Georgiev gives up a goal, typically it's not a terrible goal to give up. Jones couldn't stop a beach ball.
That's not true, though. Come on, man.
That's a little harsh.
Again, you watch some of these games, man. I mean, there's a lot of times where he's either screened or he's going post to post. Like, I get that people are upset about Jones. I get that people don't like Jones. I get that. But to say that he can't stop a beach ball, I mean, there's plenty of times where he makes a big save. It's just that you can't count on him to make the big save all the time. And these shots that are coming in from far away, and Kevin Kurz is reporting, oh, that one, you just got to make a save. Just got to make a save. It's really easy for a guy who's never played the position to say you just got to make a save. Look, it's hard to get tracking on the puck when you can't see the puck. How many times have we seen him like kind of just doing this because he doesn't know where the puck is? Now, maybe he could do a better job of getting his eyes on it and figuring out how to do that. Aaron Dell seems to be able to do it, which is great. But to say a guy can't stop anything, I mean, if that was the case, he wouldn't have been an NHL goalie in the first place. I think people forget, if you're playing in the NHL, you are an elite goaltender, period. In the world, you are an elite goaltender. In this league, you might not be elite, but these are like the best of the best. This is the cream of the crop. So, I mean, even a guy like, what's his name? We just said Corey Schneider.
Yeah.
Corey Schneider's playing terrible in the NHL, but he's still among goalies in the world. He's still like top of the top, right? So, for Martin Jones, it's not like the guy doesn't know how to play the position. He knows what he's doing. He's having a hard time tracking the puck half the time because, again, the passes are going cross ice. He has to move from post to post, or there's guys in his way, and he's trying to make a save, and he just can't get it done. Now, again, I'm not sticking up for Jones. I'm just saying for any goaltender, you put them in those situations, that's what you're going to get, unless this guy is supreme elite. And we are already saying Martin Jones is not elite. We're saying Dell's not elite. These are guys that are good. Dell's playing better than Jones is. Yes, I'll say that, no problem. But these are not guys that have magic wands and they can just make pucks stop, period. You still have to do a good job of tracking the puck, and you still have to have your defense having playing well in front of you to be able to help you out with your job. Imagine if you're a goal scorer, but no one's passing you the puck. How are you supposed to score goals? It's the same thing. You have to work as a unit. If your team's not working as a unit in front of you and making it easy for you to see the puck and stop the puck and not have to go from one side to the next, you know, maybe Martin Jones isn't the best from going post to post. Then stop giving him plays where he has to go post to post. Like, that to me is the wake-up call. You have talking about like defensive systems. Maybe that should be part of your system, is not allowing those passes to go right through the center of the ice. They're right in the slot. So I don't know. To me, again, I'm not a Jones apologist. If this was Dell, if this was Price, if this was Tuukka Rask, if this was anybody wearing 2 pads and a mask, like, I have a problem with saying that they're terrible when the defense is clearly not doing their job. That's my take on it. And again, I don't care what team it is. I don't care what the name is on the back of the jersey. It's just you have to do a good job in front of your goaltender if you want to have an opportunity to win. And you got a guy like Sergei Bobrovsky made $10 million for a reason. He is a very, very talented goaltender, and his numbers do not say that this season. No, he is. He's a very talented goaltender, but his numbers do not say that this season. Why? Is he just all of a sudden terrible? They paid him $10 million to be terrible? Or are they not playing well in front of him?
He's not playing for a contract anymore. He got paid.
I think that certainly helps.
I'm not saying that's the only reason,
certainly helps.
but that's a big reason.
But I think way too much of that goes into he got paid already. No.
He went from Columbus to Florida.
You say he gets paid. Okay, great.
And
he got paid already.
He's living in Florida, near Miami.
You're telling me that these guys all of a sudden don't care about their entire life's dream?
A Russian guy in Miami.
So
he's living life right now.
That's great.
Are you kidding?
Do you think that he doesn't care about winning anymore? Like, all of a sudden he's like, hockey, whatever.
Do you think every player grows up dreaming of the Stanley Cup?
I think a lot of them do. I think if you make it to the NHL, that's the prize.
I think a lot of the North American players do.
Maybe.
I don't think so much of the international players.
I think
that they don't want to win the cup or win. They're very competitive people, but that's not like their dream goal. A lot of those dream goals are make it to the NHL.
If there was any weight to that, they would never get contracts. Unless you think you're smarter than all the GMs in the league.
But they're good players.
Yeah. $10 million good, though?
You
got some trust in that player.
They don't get paid in the playoffs.
What?
They don't get their salary in the playoffs. That salary is for the regular season. They get their salary
to make playoffs, though.
Yeah, but once they make playoffs,
yeah.
Now it's like you get bonus, I think, for every round you get to, which isn't like much compared to what your salary is.
I think the reason they get paid is because the GMs have faith in their ability to continue playing.
The carrot of getting, it's a very different culture, and that's a whole nother discussion. Whole different discussion.
The one we're having right now.
I'm done talking about that.
Okay.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it. A couple, trade Couture and get a first-round pick for this draft. No first-round pick. First of all, none of those teams that are in the top 3 picks are going to want Couture.
Right.
They want the pick.
Yeah.
Because Couture costs too much money.
Because they're garbage teams.
Right.
And they want
it's
the
not
pick.
like Couture is going to make their team turn around. So trading Couture for a first-round pick is going to get you a top 15 pick,
Sure.
maybe, right? But, I mean, Couture would command more than just a first-round pick. It's going to be prospects and a bunch of stuff, but no.
Yeah.
That,
Well,
to me,
by top
the
15,
Sharks,
you mean later 15, because it's going to go to a contender.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, okay.
It's not going to...
Not top 15.
Best would be a 15...
Right.
15 round,
Right.
or 15 overall pick.
Overall.
It doesn't work that way. It's not NHL 20 where you're trading away these guys and getting the first overall pick, because I do it all the time. All the time. It doesn't work that way. So no, that makes the Sharks worse, because let's say they get a 5th overall pick for Couture. Is that guy going to come in and play and be a Couture level player and help the Sharks make playoffs next season? No.
Rolling the
Absolutely
dice.
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's no way that guy could come in and take a top 6 role. Maybe a second line center. But even then he's going to have to be shielded, because he's going to be a young 18, 19-year-old kid, right? Probably not physically mature enough to handle the rigors of an 82-game season plus playoffs. These guys play how many games? 50 games? 40 or 50 games? And they're drafting these guys? That's why it's amazing when a player can come in as an 18-year-old and make it to the NHL and play an entire season without going to juniors.
Yeah.
Because you can't even go to the AHL at that point. Not playing in juniors and playing an entire 82 grueling season and still scoring, in McDavid's case, like that's an extreme example.
No, totally. Yeah.
But even like Jack Eichel, like all those first and second overall picks, right?
Yeah.
Those guys are usually the ones that are ready for the NHL. But everyone else, they need some seasoning.
I will say that in a deep draft, maybe the 5th overall could get you there, but I still don't. You don't trade Logan Couture. You don't do that. So I don't know. For me, that one doesn't. I don't see the value in that. Now, if Logan was on the last year of his contract, you'd still be screwed because he's hurt.
You're not gonna get a first-round pick for a guy that's going into a rental player,
right?
For a first-round pick.
Yeah. So anyway, no, we're good.
Anything else? What's the possibility of Burns being traded? If so, will it be at the deadline or off-season, and for what? I don't think trading Burns is out of the question. In fact, I brought that up maybe a month ago now about possibly trading Burns, but I said the off-season, either at the draft to get a pick, or after that and moving some pieces around.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, because to me, I think having Burns and Karlsson back there is just too crazy in a way. I think you give Karlsson the blue line and say, "This is you're the offensive guy."
Right.
Like, we're going to lean on you heavily for everything. Yeah. Offensively coming out of the blue line. Give Burns to another team. He's going to be 35 next season. He's got another 5 years left on his contract, 4 or 5 years. So Karlsson's younger, skates more. He's more of a playmaker. Burns is more of a shooter. And he had Pavelski tipping, and that was another question about with Pavelski gone, Burns isn't playing as well, blah, blah, blah. So to me, like, moving Burns makes sense.
You know what kind of just hit me here is the people talking about, again, the trade for Brendan Dillon. They're saying, oh, we like Dillon, don't trade Dillon. If you see Brendan Dillon get signed, like extended, before the deadline, or if you see him not get moved before the deadline, I bet Brent Burns is gone.
Wait, say it again? What?
If Dillon is a part of this team after the deadline, I bet Brent Burns is gone at the draft.
Yeah,
because then it makes sense to keep Dillon.
I still think Dillon's going to be gone.
No, I think he probably would be too, but I'm just saying, if you see that, if you see Dillon still a part of this team at the draft or after the draft, before next season starts, Burns is gone.
Yeah, but how many people are going to say fire Wilson because he couldn't move Dillon?
Oh, yeah, no, they might. Good for them.
There's going to be fire
Wilson. Is it social media is voting Doug Wilson out now, or is Hasso Plattner still the guy with the pen?
The same people who said fire the coach, and they did.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, now you need to fire Doug Wilson, because that wasn't the answer. All right.
Let's just keep firing people.
Joe Dodge, going back to our St. Louis resident friend. Welcome to the NHL, where you have to constantly stand on your head as a goalie, or your fans will kick you to the curb. All fan bases are like that.
Yeah.
There was a stat that I shared with you a while ago offline about an elite goalie, out of 100 shots, an elite goalie stops 94?
Well, what's the percentage for an elite goalie? Say a percentage.
Right.
That'll tell you right there. You're saying 94%?
So on 100 shots, an elite goalie lets in 6. An average goalie lets in 7. A good goalie lets in 8. And a terrible goalie lets in 9 out of 100 shots.
An average goalie has a 92% save percentage?
The league average is what, .919 or something, or 9?
Is it that high?
Maybe it's lower.
I think it's like 9.1 or
909.
Maybe, yeah.
Whatever. My point is, a difference of
a goal here and there.
A goal or two makes an elite goalie versus a non-elite goalie. Like it's the margin is very thin.
Yeah.
And again, we're not saying Martin Jones is elite, but you got to he's not elite.
What did you just say his save percentage was? Martin Jones, .88 something. You call it .88. Yeah, I mean that's 12 goals on 100 shots, right?
That's like 3 beach balls.
No, it's like 3 beach balls. But like,
are you Mike?
So okay, a goalie that's like league average is like what 91%, right? 910. So that's
average.
Yeah.
He's 889.
889.
Yeah.
So call
89.
it 89%. So that's 11.
11 goals.
11 goals. So a league average would be 9 goals.
Yeah.
So he on 100 shots he lets in 2 more goals, which is unfortunate, but it's also not the difference between a game when you talk about what the scores have been. The scores have not been good for the Sharks. I mean, on their losses, they've generally not scored that many goals when they lose. So I don't think that that's really going to make the difference between us making playoffs or being in like a playoff position and where we are right now. So I don't know. Again, to me, if you do a better job playing defense in front of these guys, those numbers are going to increase. And it doesn't matter who you have in goal. You're going to do a much better job of keeping the puck out of the net. From good defense comes good offense. You're going to score more goals when you play better defensively as well because you're going to get the puck back. So I don't know. For me, I'm not totally saying the goalies are exempt. I'm just saying I understand. I understand why the numbers get so bad sometimes. And again, we take a look at, like you said, the Islanders last season. Both their goalies had like the best numbers they ever had. The Sharks, both their goalies had like the worst numbers they ever had. Is it that those 4 goaltenders had both the best and the worst statistical seasons of their careers? Or is it the systems that they're playing with because they're playing on that team? So to me, it seems fairly clear that it's the system, it's the team. But I don't know.
Anthony Sanchez, my wife is mad that you think Burns should be moved.
Yeah, no.
It's not popular. If Burns gets moved in the offseason, then Doug Wilson is making a strong effort to get Taylor Hall. Nah, I don't think so.
I would not be mad at that.
I would not be mad at that. More than a left winger, though.
I don't care.
I don't know. Taylor Hall's been moved. How many teams has he been on?
4.
That's a big question mark for me.
Edmonton,
Jersey,
and Arizona.
3.
So 4. Timo can play right wing. He's fine. Put Goodrow on right wing. First line right wing. He's already first line center.
All right, Joseph Stockman. Now, do you re-sign Dell since he's doing amazing, or put him up for some trades at the deadline and keep Jones?
No, that's the predicament.
Trade Dell. To me, you trade Dell.
Yeah?
Yeah. You trade Dell, and he's not going to a team to be a starter. He's going to a team that has a rookie starter or a shaky starter, and they want someone that's more solid as a backup.
See, and I'm of the mind it depends.
Or a goalie who has some kind of injury that they're being hush-hush about.
Yeah.
Like Toronto.
No, Toronto
I know, they just got Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
But
like Toronto, you
right.
said. Okay, yeah. No, I think my answer is it depends. What are they going to give you back, right? So if they give you back something that you just can't say no, and it makes total sense to unload Dell because he is your backup, then okay, fine. But I could definitely see, if they did keep him, I could definitely see Dell getting more starts next season and pushing Jones a little bit here and there, right? And then that also gets you to the Seattle expansion draft. So that wouldn't be such a bad thing. You expose a guy like, if Martin Jones doesn't pick his game back up, you expose a guy like Martin Jones and you give them a pick to take him off your hands, and then you go after whoever you think is the next best thing in terms of goaltending. And there's really nothing been wrong with Aaron Dell. Again, I think Aaron's made the point about it being a contract year, and I think there's a whole lot of weight to that. So maybe that's why Aaron Dell had made that comment that time about Pete DeBoer kind of riding Jones and not really giving him the opportunity he felt he deserved. Maybe that was kind of a cry for more playing time so that he can get some more money on the free agent market. Maybe that's what he was really going for.
Who?
Aaron Dell. Maybe Aaron Dell was saying that because he wanted to get shot to get some more money out of the free agency.
It is a free agency year.
Yeah.
Right? So he's playing for a contract.
Oh, yeah,
year.
totally.
He's playing for his career.
Yeah.
Because if he played poorly, if he played worse than Jones, he'd be done. I don't think he would even get a contract in the NHL next year.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not from the Sharks, and I don't think any other team would sign him.
Yeah.
So he was literally playing for his career. He has more motivation because of that. I'm not saying this is only motivation, but he has more motivation than Jones does because Jones has another 4 or 5 years left on his contract, right? He already got his money. So Dell was playing to stay in the NHL, and he's playing admirably.
Yeah.
I think. I just don't think he's going to stay.
Okay.
So we trade Dell. Where do we place the goalie we get? Is he a starter or a backup? Lundy, man, come on. Grammar is our friend. Going back to
Okay, wait. So you're saying
Grammar.
the goalie that we bring in?
I think he's assuming that we're trading to get a goalie back. I don't necessarily think that's the case. If we trade Dell, I bet we're not getting a goalie back.
No.
We're gonna bring up a guy from the minors.
And again, remember, we've got 49 contracts right now. The last thing Doug Wilson's planning on doing is trading a contract that's expiring for a contract that either is going to be expiring for the same amount of time or is going to be expiring in a longer term. He wants to cut down the number of contracts that he's got on the books right now. So I think if you traded Dell, you're getting a pick of some sort, and then maybe even a prospect that an unsigned prospect, and then bringing a guy up from the AHL. So be that a Koshinosh, or I think Sawchenko. Maybe Sawchenko gets a look. Who knows? But essentially, if this season's written off anyway, it doesn't matter who you've got in the backup. You can always sign somebody in free agency the next season.
It doesn't matter.
I trade some assets away to get those contracts off
Koronosh,
your book.
Amond, and Shortridge are the
Koshinosh,
Amond,
Emond, Shortridge, and then the other one's Sawchenko.
But is he signed?
He's playing for the Barracuda, I thought.
Doesn't mean he's signed.
Yeah.
Like we drafted him, but he's not signed.
Yeah.
Because he's not showing up on Cap Friendly. So I would think they would have to sign him to a roster spot, which they only have one roster spot right now.
Right now, yes. But Dell's coming off the books. They're getting a bunch
Right.
of other guys coming off the books. You make some trades, get your assets out of there to bring the contracts lower, and then you bring one of those guys up, and then you'll be good to go.
Do we trade Sorensen? That's a question.
I have no emotional attachment to Sorensen.
He's got another year left, so I don't know if a team would want him. That's the problem. He's only
Maybe.
$1.5 million. It's not bad, but
For a team that's looking for some depth for a playoff run and is not planning on anything breaking apart after this playoff run, they're going to come with the same team the next season.
you just don't.
Then
see,
it makes sense.
But you don't see those guys getting traded as much as the guys that are going to be a UFA.
Yeah.
Because it's less risk for a team to take a guy on who's the last year of his contract, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does work out, then you can sign him to whatever you want to.
And the Sharks really have no motivation to unload him either because, again, he's a cheap guy that plays on your third line, right? And that's kind of what they need right now is some guys that are less expensive and they'll play a little bit down the roster. And you could push him up on the roster if you needed to.
Kind of guys.
Exactly. Yeah, just like that. But that allows them the cap space for the next season to go ahead and add some other folks.
Hey, look,
if you didn't have Sorensen on that team, then you are looking at bringing in an AHL guy. That didn't really work out this season. So twice the salary, $1.5 million, having him on the third line, I think that's more valuable to them than the 6th round pick, 5th round pick, whatever it is that they might get for him.
Our current number one center is making $925,000.
Goody.
Yeah. This is interesting because of the two guys out, Couture and Hurdle. Our forwards combined are making almost $24 million. Our blue line is making 32.
Yeah.
Almost $8 million difference between our blue line and our offense.
Yep. There's a way to fix that. I mean, to make it even.
Ha! Joe Dodge, thank you for the $20.
Whoa.
Forgot to super chat. How rude of me. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. How cool is this?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Got the St. Louis fan.
I'm trying to think what else.
Anything else there?
I'm going back.
Okay.
Sorensen is our new Torrey Mitchell. I agree.
Yes.
I agree. A guy who has decent speed. Torrey Mitchell had more speed, but a guy who, a flash in the pan, you're like, wow, this guy's going to be great, and he cannot finish.
Yeah.
Sorensen, man, how many chances do you see him get in a game, and you're like, oh, he's going to bury that, and he makes the goalie look elite.
Yeah.
But it's like the backup. First of all, how many times have the Sharks played the backup of a team? That's when you know you're having a bad year.
For
when
sure.
the other teams throw their backups against you and you still lose. right?
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it's not that it's insulting, but it's like, oh man, like.
But again, if it's a good defensive system, that backup again is NHL quality goaltender. Maybe not the top, but he's an NHL quality goaltender. If you have a good system and you're playing against a team that has no forward depth, yeah, he's probably going to make that save. So I think it's a safe bet playing your backup against the Sharks right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of done talking about goaltending, so I don't want to do this. Lundy, thanks. Let's do roll call. Tell us where you are watching from and how you found us, and that'll get posted on the screen. I just going the rest of this season. I think there's been some kind of questions about this, like what the rest of this season is going to look like. We're going to see with Couture is probably going to take his time coming back. He's got to be 100% before he's going to come back. Hurdle's done. Those two centers are gone. So we have big holes in our lineup. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of rookies getting some time. The trade deadline's coming up in 2 weeks from Monday, I think it is, or 3 weeks. 2 weeks from Monday. Yeah. Now that the way the trade deadline works, you're going to see guys get moved well before the trade deadline. Not like everything happens on that Monday. Yeah. So you're going to start seeing more trades around the NHL. Stuff's going to pick up because one team's going to make a trade, and that's going to kind of set the market rate in a way. Like we just saw, Jack Campbell got traded to Toronto, a backup goalie to Toronto who needed a goalie because Anderson's hurt.
And Kyle Clifford.
Oh, and Kyle Clifford. Sorry, whatever. That's actually a pretty good deal.
That's a good deal.
Toronto.
Yeah. A couple of thirds they gave up.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good.
Not bad, yeah.
That kind of sets the market rate. Now you can see other teams go, okay, well, they traded this for that person. We're offering you this for this person.
Yeah.
So you start to see more pieces move in the next weeks.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we're going to try and do lives every time there's a Sharks trade. So we'll be up here to kind of talk with you about it. Right, Jason?
Sure. But I'm traveling a lot, so we don't know.
Enthusiastic.
Jason's going to have to leave a list of notes about this long to figure out how we can just turn the camera on and hit record.
And if we can't figure that out, we'll pull the phone out and do like a Facebook
we'll do
Live
something.
or
We'll
something.
We'll be probably here on the set somewhere.
In the dark with flashlights.
Yeah, with flashlights.
We have no idea how to use the lighting, like everything. Anyway, we have David's in Melbourne, Australia.
Hey.
Good day, mate.
Oh, God. We were all thinking it. Just you didn't have to say it.
Now that's a knife.
You call that a knife?
I think this is us off the rails. And thank you, David, for putting us off the rails.
Anyway.
Vegemite.
I've never tried. You ever tried it? Vegemite?
I think it's like a vegetable. I have not tried it.
It's like in a can or something, isn't
it?
David, is it in a can? What is Vegemite?
Joseph Stockman. This offseason is going to be insane. There will be so many moving pieces. It's going to be exciting to see what happens.
You know what? That's the right way to look at this.
I agree.
That is the right way to look at this. Yeah.
I'm excited to see how the Sharks are going to turn this around because I believe that they will.
Yeah.
I think it'll be another retooling summer. But there's going to be a lot of moving pieces.
And it's kind of a good insight into the brain of, these guys that this is what they do, like a Doug Wilson, right? And like scouting staff and everybody else. It's kind of interesting to see the guys that they go after, what they're looking for, how they're going to piece it together and everything, and then you could take that and bring it straight into GM mode in NHL 20, and maybe you can make your own trades similar, right? But no, I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting time right now, right? It's going to be an exciting time. Now, it's more exciting, obviously, when your team goes to the playoffs, and it's obviously better for the show, too, when the team goes to the playoffs. But, I think it's going to be great. We'll get to see the different pieces that are going to be moving around and how they're going to restructure and everything else. So I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are too.
I don't want to get too excited either because look at the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
They rebuilt their team this entire summer, and now they're dismantling it because they went nowhere. It is incredible how many new players and pieces they put together. To me, it looked like on paper this is one of the teams that probably rebuilt their team enough to make playoffs. And they completely fell short.
Yeah, and I'll go back to the track record of Doug Wilson. And I'll say, I have a lot more faith in his ability to retool and put together a team that has the ability to make playoffs. Didn't happen this season. I get that. But I have a lot more faith in his ability to do that. So I'm genuinely interested. I'm genuinely excited for it. And that's assuming that the Sharks don't pull off some crazy miracle going down the stretch here. I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you think there's still a chance that the Sharks will make playoffs?
I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, I don't think it's going to happen, but it might happen, guys. Like, who knows? Like, we keep saying this team's they've got no center depth anymore, right? Now, how do we just win those last 2 games then? Like, yes, Edmonton and Calgary, they fought each other, like, and it was a big emotional game, and they were drained. I get that. That's part of the win. But
so Calgary, they said the turning point was when Gaudreau went after Lucic, right? That was a big turning point for the bench.
Yeah.
Like, they got energized after that.
Yep.
Which that fight was, would you call it a fight? It was more of a...
Doesn't matter.
It was more... well, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying it was a fight, but it was more of Gaudreau getting in his face saying, that's not okay, standing up for his teammate, which Bob Boughner is all about. I was thinking about this on the way over.
Yep.
The last 3 coaches the Sharks have had, going back to Ron Wilson, Todd McClellan, and Pete DeBoer, were the kind of guys that were not what Bob Boughner is go out there and not so much hit the guy, but you make sure that you stand up for your teammate. I like those kinds of coaches. When you stand up for your teammate, you don't let that stuff go by. To me, it brings the team together.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, exactly. Camaraderie. And you saw it in that game, and that was the turning point in the entire game.
Yeah.
The Sharks turned it on, and Calgary looked lost after that. And then going into, what was the other game? The Edmonton game.
Yeah.
It was the rookies. They were saying that, wow, they were really working hard. They were moving their feet. It was energizing us.
Yeah.
Us. I think this was Karlsson saying it. It energized us veterans to be like, wow, these guys are really working their tails off.
If they're working that hard, we should be too. Let's go get it.
So the culture, you're seeing the culture kind of change now under Bob Boughner. And getting better.
And this is where people are saying, is there a chance? I know you say no, but everything you just said...
Only because of the depth. Because of injuries.
Cool, but everything you just said...
If Hurdle and Couture were there and this was happening, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think that...
I'm with you.
Those 2 injuries are just brutal.
It makes no sense, and the logical answer is absolutely not. But again, the worst thing that the Sharks have given their fan base is hope. And I have to say,
they're gonna fall short. Is what's gonna happen.
No, they are. They're gonna fall short. Okay,
they say, "Oh, there's hope," and then fall flat on their face.
They will. But they're gonna make it real interesting, and they're gonna make you wonder. And if that hasn't already happened the last couple of games, I mean, they've closed the gap a little bit. I think they're 8 points out now. 7 points out. 7 points out of a wild card.
You gotta wait for those other teams to lose.
Here's a question for you: how many games are left before trade deadline? Can you add them up real quick?
Sharks games?
Yeah, how many Sharks games are left before the trade deadline? Because that's going to be interesting. If they start on a little bit of a tear right there, that becomes a question now. Okay, we're going to get Couture back. Can we keep this ball rolling?
7 games.
7 games before the trade deadline.
Yep.
How many points back are we?
8.
7. From the wild card? I think it's 7.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 8.
Okay, it might be 8. 7 or 8. Doesn't matter. If you win more games than you lose, put it that way. You win more games than you lose. Even if you lose games in OT, I mean, that's an extra point. That puts you right there. So over the next 7 games, if you win 4 instead of losing 4, you're right back in the hunt. Like, you're close. And obviously, other teams are going to be winning their games too. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying it gets you close. You're in the hunt.
10 points out of the wild card. 11 points out of the wild card. I'm looking right now.
Of the wild card?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's out of third. Yeah.
9 points out of the wild card.
I'm just saying it'll be close. They'll let you down, but it'll be close.
Thanks.
Yes. I think with that...
Vegemite.
Vegemite,
is a thick, dark brown Australian food spread made from leftover brewer's yeast extract with various vegetable and spice additives. Also, it's a spread like peanut butter or jam, but don't pack it on in only a small amount. It comes in a jar.
It does come in a jar. Oh, not in a can, in a jar. So basically, it sounded like Nutella until you add in the vegetable and spices stuff. It's a brown spread.
Or hazelnut.
It's leftover brewer's yeast extract with various vegetable and spice additives.
I heard brown spread, and I was like, ooh, Nutella. And then everything else you just said made it sound gross.
It's not chocolate.
I know.
We're going to need a Fear Factor, Fin Factor episode.
Fin Factor, Fear Factor?
Oh. Send us some Vegemite.
Send us some Vegemite. We will try
We'll eat it on the show.
If you send Vegemite,
we're gonna
we'll
put
try
a toaster on the set. We'll toast some bread, put some Vegemite on it.
Is that how you eat it?
You don't eat it out of the jar.
I don't know. It's a spoon.
It's a spread.
It's a spread.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You put it on bread.
Maybe English muffin. Australian muffin. Send us a muffin from Australia. We'll eat that too.
We'll go to Outback and get
We're
the little
hungry.
loaves of bread that they put on the table.
Yeah, there you go. The brown ones. Those are delicious.
Put a shrimp on the barbie.
Off the
Okay,
rails.
totally off the
Off the
rails
rails.
now. Guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in. For the folks, I think it was Joe gave us the 20 in the.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
we really
Joe.
do appreciate that, especially being a Blues fan and checking out the show. It's really good having you in.
It's a sympathy.
Yeah, maybe
super chat, which
Yeah.
I'm totally okay
I'm
with.
okay with that too. So go ahead and check out the store as
What
well.
is going to be sad is we only have, assuming they don't make playoffs,
Yeah.
a couple weeks left.
Yeah,
or
that's
not
true.
a couple weeks, but 6, 7 weeks.
7, so yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Single tier.
I don't know if we're gonna do anything for playoffs then.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll see if we can stop a beach ball.
Oh, Paul, Vegemite. From Joseph. Oh, Paul, Vegemite is to Nutella like salt is to sugar.
No, I'm just saying, what he was describing made it sound like Nutella at first. I knew there was more coming, but I was like, ooh.
Just think
Nutella
Nutella when
sounds-
you eat it. You're going to go,
Leftover
That's the two
yeast.
things. Okay, 2 things for the show. 1, Vegemite. 2, we have to try the smelling salts.
oh, yeah.
Brody did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get it.
I got to see if he was overreacting
It's just
or not.
ammonia, isn't it?
Is that all it is?
I think it's ammonia.
I don't know.
Ammonia is like, it wakes you up if you get knocked
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Can we order that on Amazon? I don't know.
I'm sure.
Let's do that. So, Vegemite and smelling salts. Those are 2 things we got to try. So,
We're going to get this stuff mailed.
we got to do something during playoffs, man. We got to have a show.
Sure.
Anyway, again, thank you for the super chat money. But if you would like to support the show in other means, you can purchase a hat or a T-shirt. Go to thefinfactor.com. There's the 3 little lines at the
bring
top.
yours?
Hit that. I did. Mine's gross according to
He
you.
needs a new one.
I do need a new one, but there it is. So yeah, it looks like that. Only cleaner. I promise we'll send you a clean one.
That's a one year plus old hat.
Yeah, we've had them for a while.
13 months?
Something like that, yeah. But yes, please feel free to go and support the show because that is what you're doing when you pick up any of those things. The shirts, the hats, the stickers. I thought there was more than that. But it's
Joseph's
actually
going to
just shirts,
send us
hats,
some
and stickers.
Vegemite.
He is?
Yeah.
Love it. We'll eat it, dude. We'll give it a go, okay?
Fear factor, fin factor.
So, for super producer Jason, I am Paul.
And I'm
And
Aaron.
we will see you guys
Monday.
Monday, probably, yeah. Okay, Monday. Bye.
Bye.